to do it. The question is, though, is once you have this data and you're implementing a retention program where you're sending out information, Drupal can help you make that more impactful. So if you're sending out email, snail mail, something like that, go ahead and archive your newsletters online with an RSS feed. Do special offers on your website. Surveys, real easy. Web form can be used to do surveys. There's other systems do it. Personalized landing pages. I love digital prints that you can do all kinds of cool stuff, like having for Christmas, having your name written in the snow, and then they come back to their website and they can see they can see personalized information sitting on your website. Keep them coming back. Something I always find very interesting in retention programs, people talk like, oh, we've got to touch our customer 12 times a year, 24 times a year. Like, well, yeah, but what about all the what about social media? What about SEO? What about all the other types of marketing? That is a form of when people are interested in buying, of being able to get to them. So don't forget about the strategies we talked originally about just getting audience. Also, build a community. If you've got an opportunity to build a community, it's a great way to keep people coming back. Extranets. If you have data that people want, build an extranet. Give them access to that information. So it might very well be that you have a partner program and you do co-oping with advertising, and you're giving them access to advertising materials. Could be all kinds. It could be obviously banks do things like online banking and so forth, but giving people access to data. What's the ultimate goal here? Fred Reichheld, I hope I pronounced his name right. Been a while since I've read this book. Wrote a book called The Ultimate Question. And in the 90s, we all talked about satisfied customers. And he really found out that satisfied customers are a little bit of bunk. Advertising agents talk about awareness. And so we might look at, well, it's good if people can find you, if people are aware of you. It's better if you're preferred, if you're the preferred brand. It builds loyalty. But really what Fred found out, he has a whole consultancy around it doing these studies, is that the only things that matters is what people answer to the question, would you recommend this product or services to a friend or a colleague? To be recommended. Ultimately, that's what we're trying to do. We are trying to create an army of champions to go out and do our marketing for us. Doing the most effective marketing, it's genuine, it's a human voice, and better than word of mouth marketing, it's word of mouse. It's written on the web, it's most likely to be, you can tell the whole world, and it's most likely to be there years from now. Process. Something I find very interesting is that the aha moment that some clients have when you build a website, then all of a sudden they say, hey, could we put our knowledge base online and let our customers learn, help themselves to information? And that switch seems to turn on that you could actually build web applications with Drupal. And so there are all kinds of business processes, and Drupal's not necessarily the perfect answer for everything. Accounting systems probably shouldn't be put into Drupal. You could. It might not look real pretty, but there are opportunities to improve business processes, particularly around customer self-help, knowledge-based type things. The second part of process is improving your process. I always think it's interesting that there's a lot of people that say, well, we want to be the best in our industry. Here's a list of requirements. We want this website to work for us for 5 years. That's not going to work. The online leaders know that you have to continually be improving. The Japanese call it Kaizen, although in reality, let's take it another step further, that it's about continual innovation. It's about pushing the envelope and moving forward, and it needs to be done continually. Business process improvement. What can we do with Drupal? Like I said, knowledge bases are an excellent way to go. Peer help. You want to save some costs? Allow your customers to help each other. Extranets, again, giving customers access to data. Collaboration. Again, something that Drupal Commons that's what it's built for. Open Atrium is another distribution that does this. But basically allowing your staff to collaborate with each other, to share documents. Another great use case for Drupal. Also, you can use it to be an app portal. I mean, we've got all these API integration. There's a really interesting technology that's been emerging over the last few years called CMIS that'll allow Drupal to talk with document management systems like Alfresco. Even our good buddies over at Microsoft have made SharePoint. And a lot of people complain about SharePoint. Give them a better front end with Drupal. Rapid application development. Years ago, one of the recommendations that I would give to people, say in the 90s, about how to build an application is let's build it on paper first. Let's use paper forms, let's push these things around, and let's make sure we get all the bugs worked out of the system on paper. Drupal gives you an incredible system for prototyping out a lot of different types of systems. Now, ultimately, they might not end up in Drupal, but people can make much better decisions around working software than they can around paper documents. Even if it's like, hey, let's just spend a month prototyping this in Drupal, and it might be, say, a supply chain management system or something like that. But then move it, once you've got people looking at the working software, eventually you might move it to something like Java or .NET or Ruby on Rails. But Drupal can do an awful lot to help prototype out data structures and do things along those lines. So speaking about speaking of working on working software, is that when you look at the online leaders, they build websites a completely different way. Most people are probably used to, one of two types of project management styles. One is big design up front, which you saw the picture of the rocket, comes from NASA. Came from, we are going to launch someone into space, and we better do everything and anything to get it right, because we can't wait for that rocket ship to get up 10,000 feet and then fix things and inspect and adapt. The other part is cowboy coding. Let's just make it up as we go along. What you're finding is that the leaders, everyone from Google to, I don't know about Facebook, but Google to Twitter to Amazon.com to Salesforce.com to Yahoo to Microsoft, use agile processes, which sits sort of halfway in between the cowboy coding and the big design up front. This is one process called Scrum. Scrum is very popular. There's another process that complements it fairly well called XP. There are all kinds of other agile processes around the core. I won't get too much into it, and I'd be more than happy to talk to anyone about agile. Another one of my big passions. But the important thing is that we are biting off small chunks of functionality, and at the end, we are building working software as quickly as possible. This is a much more efficient process. So now I'm going to get back to the Pareto principle, the one that was actually created in the 30s and named after Pareto, but not actually created by him. Because what we're trying to figure out ultimately, and this is what leaders are exceptional at, is we don't want to do a whole lot of work and we want to get a lot of results.